Why do we bring the storm inside? We fight battles all day. We deal with demanding clients, tight deadlines, and unexpected failures. And when we come home, we carry that mud right onto the clean carpet. We snap at our children. We give our partner the silent treatment. We treat our sanctuary like it's just another battlefield. But what if there was a way to put that heavy backpack down? What if you could leave the day's baggage outside before you even turn the key in the door? This was the mistake made every single day by a wealthy merchant named Silas. By all accounts, he was a success. His stall in the city market was the most prosperous, his goods the most sought after, but this success came at a cost. Every evening, as he walked the long path home, his mind was a whirlwind. He replayed every argument with a difficult customer, every negotiation that went sour, every coin he felt he'd lost. When he finally reached his beautiful home and opened the front door, he was not a father or a husband. He was a dark cloud. His children, who had been laughing and playing moments before, would fall silent. His wife's warm expression would tighten with worry. He never meant to be cruel. He loved his family more than anything, but the stress of the day would leak out of him, a subtle poison that soured the air of his home. He was physically present, but his mind, his spirit, was still back at the market, fighting yesterday's battles. His body was home, but his peace was not. One spring, a fierce storm damaged the roof of his large house. Silas, ever practical, sought out the best carpenter in the region, a man named Alden. Alden was the opposite of Silas. He was not wealthy, but his face was etched with laugh lines, and he greeted each day with a genuine smile. Silas watched Alden work for the entire day, and for Alden, it was a truly terrible day. It began when his favorite hand saw a tool passed down from his father, snapped on a stubborn piece of wood. A few hours later, he misjudged a cut and sliced his hand open, requiring Silas to fetch bandages. To cap it all off, as the sun began to set, Alden's old rickety work truck refused to start. The engine coughed, sputtered, and then died completely. Silas, feeling a mix of pity and obligation, offered to drive the carpenter home. During the ride, he braced himself. He expected Alden to be a storm of frustration, a mirror of his own daily state. Surely, after a day like that, Alden would walk into his house, slam the door, and unleash his fury on his unsuspecting family. That's what Silas would have done. They arrived at Alden's small, humble cottage. A warm light glowed from the windows, but before opening the door, Alden did something strange. He walked over to a small, young tree growing near his porch. He paused. He reached out with both hands and gently touched the tips of its branches, almost like he was greeting an old friend. He closed his eyes and took a long, slow breath in and out. He stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Then he turned and opened his front door. In that instant, he transformed. The weary, frustrated man from the truck was gone. A bright, genuine smile lit up his face. 2 small children shouted "Papa" and ran into his arms. He lifted them both, burying his face in their hair. He then walked over to his wife and gave her a loving kiss. The anger, the frustration, the entire weight of his awful day had simply vanished at the doorstep. Later that evening, after Alden had fixed his truck, Silas couldn't contain his curiosity. He found Alden in his workshop, humming as he sharpened his tools. "Alden," Silas began, "I don't understand. You had a terrible day. Your saw broke. You injured your hand. Your truck failed. I was certain you'd be furious. But when you walked in that door, it was all gone. How did you do that? Where did all the anger go? Alden stopped his work and looked at Silas with a knowing, gentle expression. He pointed with his file toward the small tree by the porch. "Oh, that," he said warmly. "That is my trouble tree." He leaned against his workbench. "I've learned something over the years, Silas. I know I can't avoid troubles at work. That's just part of life. Things break, plans go wrong. There will always be bad days. But one thing is absolutely for sure. Those troubles have no business being inside this house, with my wife and my children. This home is for them. It's for peace. I leave the broken saw there, the cut on my hand, the frustration with my old truck. I just put them all there. I tell the tree to hold on to them for me until the morning." Alden smiled, a real deep smile that reached his eyes. "And you know, the funny thing is, when I come out in the morning to pick them up, there are never as many there as I remember hanging up the night before." In that moment, a bolt of lightning struck Silas's soul. He looked from Alden's peaceful face to the little tree outside, its leaves rustling in the night breeze. He suddenly saw it all with painful clarity. He hadn't been just carrying his troubles home. He had been unpacking them in his living room. He had been hanging them on the shoulders of his wife and children. He had been forcing his innocent family to bear the heavy, ugly weight of his business dealings. He realized that leaving your work at the door wasn't just a clever saying, it was a choice. It was a sacred ritual, a conscious act required to protect the sanctity of his home and the hearts of the people he loved most. The next evening, Silas walked the familiar path home from the market. He could feel the usual tension tightening his shoulders, the day's arguments replaying in his head. But this time was different. As he approached his grand mansion, he didn't head straight for the door. Instead, he stopped at one of the large stone pillars that flanked his entrance. He stood before it, just as Alden had stood before his tree. He closed his eyes. He imagined a heavy, burdensome backpack sliding off his shoulders. He visualized taking out each worry, each frustration, each angry word, and placing it at the foot of the cold stone. He took a long, deep breath, leaving the chaos of the market outside in the twilight. Then he opened the door. For the first time in a long time, he opened it with a genuine smile. His children, who were playing quietly in the hall, looked up, surprised. Then, seeing their father's open expression, they didn't hesitate. They ran to him, their faces bright with joy. He knelt and hugged them close. He was no longer just a body in a house. He was a father. He was a husband. He was finally, truly home. The moral is that we cannot stop the world from being stressful, but we can choose not to bring that stress into our homes. By creating a mental or physical ritual to leave our worries at the door, we protect the peace of our loved ones and allow ourselves to truly rest. Find your trouble tree. Thank you for watching.